It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're back at it with Glenn Boblitz. Sometimes I ask you what we're talking about, and then sometimes I'm finding out just when the listeners find out. So that would be the case today.
Ta-da. We're talking about just getting ready to preserve some of our garden. I mean, everybody's garden ought to be kicking pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably a little heat stress.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to keep some water to things. It's dry out there, folks.
It's been starting out weird with the coolness of the morning, and then it gets up to 90.
Yeah, it's
a slow climb, but it gets there.
We're just going to have weird weather this year.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it won't be as severe as what they're saying, but it doesn't look that way. It looks like we're going to have a hot, dry summer, which usually means a cold, nasty winter. Regardless of that, we're going to endeavor to persevere and water our gardens.
Yeah.
You're better off when you're watering a garden is to water a little bit for a long period, rather than going through with your hose and trying to give everybody a drink. That it doesn't really go down as deep as what you think. It takes quite a bit of water. So the little dripper tapes or leaker hoses, they do a much better job. Now that's a lot of water on your well, unless you are blessed to have some other source, but you're going to have to do it a bunch this year. Having some type of mulch, whether it's straw or whatever, to maintain that moisture so you don't have that evaporation. We've got several gardens that are in the back to Eden mode. We've had them 10, 15 years. And I can dig down right now, and we haven't watered. I can dig down 2-3 inches, and it's moist. And that's good enough. You don't need wet soils. You just need more moist soils.
Gotcha.
So that's ideal. Anyway. Farm reports that I've been watching are not good. Have you seen any of those? I subscribe to several of them, and I've been waiting to see what are our staple products and how they're doing. Corn, wheat, all those. They're in trouble. Some of the wheat didn't even get a foot high, and then it tasseled out and put the little heads of wheat out.
Interesting.
Well, guess what? A combine sits 13 inches above the ground. So that means they can't even harvest what they have. And it is such a disaster area for the wheat. All the grain crops, corn, all of the above. It's a horrible agricultural year. The only one that's made any money so far is the beef farmers who sold out when the prices were so high. And now they're going to have to sell out again because they have no grass, they have no feed to carry them through the winter. So they go, anybody that's unproductive is out the door. Anybody that is not putting on the weight that it should, out the door, because they're not going to be able to buy enough hay, enough grains to feed them. That's pretty bad.
Wow.
Being that our supply of cattle was already way low, really low.
There's been wonkiness all across the board.
I don't think people realize how big the beef industry is and who the players are and all that kind of stuff. Your local farmer's not selling to Cargill or one of the big packing plants. I mean, they're buying thousands of cattle at a time. So that industry is kind of closed off to everyone else, and the only time we see it is at the grocery store, and everybody knows the price of that's gone up. So you may want to start connecting to your local guy, the guy that's got, up to 50, 60 head. He's a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably sells to the local butcher shops or the slaughterhouses, and you can buy beef that way, buy half a cow or a whole cow. And then you have the guy that's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He probably is the better guy to deal with. He's probably one of your neighbors if you're in the counties where I'm at.
Right.
And they tend to have better cattle. You just have better product. It's not just a money-making operation to them. They're like my wife, it names everything, There's hamburger and there's beefy, and, they go around and name the cattle. The kids name them, they pet them, and that kind of stuff, which actually makes good cattle. But the prices are going up.
Mm-hmm.
So just be prepared for that. Now, I don't know who can afford higher prices. Certainly not me, certainly not you. But that's something you're going to have to work out. You may have to work out a trade.
Yeah. To
buy half a cow is quite pricey. But that farmer probably needs help in something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You may have to trade something. His wife, those kind of producers, usually it's a husband-wife team, kids. They all need something. He can't afford the prices of the things that he's buying goes up, so there's an opportunity here. If you're raising tomatoes and his tomatoes don't do good, just keep trading out. You tend to get better deals from people that you deal with, that you're fair with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds like a no-brainer, but it's not. So we're going to have to go back more community-oriented, not just in trading for beef. If your tomatoes don't do good and mine do, and your squash did fantastic and mine did, you're going to have to do that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Money doesn't mean as much in my world because I trade for so many things.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you this for that. Because I'm a contractor, I tend to trade a lot of things, and if you can trade a service or some produce or even trade some of your hay, if you're a farmer out there. Hay has gone to the roof. Did you see how much it is this year?
I haven't.
Last year, you could probably pick up a round bale of hay, 1,000-pound roll, for $45-50. Good hay.
Right.
90 this year.
Really?
I've seen 90 and 95, and the drier this season gets, the higher it's going to go. That's kind of scary. I'm fortunate enough I got enough land for my little pig to graze on and that kind of stuff. But it's going to be a tough year for even local farmers. We've got a few early rains, and that did help us, but it's going to be a tough year. And it's going to be a tough year on your garden. So you're going to have to really struggle to get a good crop this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, are you ready to can it, preserve it? It's actually a monetary gain if you can something this year, which is probably the first year I've ever seen. It's never been really profitable to grow a garden, do all that work, and then can it, do all that work, all the stuff that it takes to can. It's not really been profitable, but the quality is much higher. It's just, if you're concerned about quality food, clean food, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it may change. The prices are just so high because of early fertilizer cost and all that kind of stuff for big growers.
Yeah.
It's showing up at a grocery store, and it's going to continue to show up all the way through fall. So growing this year is actually profitable. So are you ready for it? Are you ready to preserve those foods? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is preserving some of them foods. And not how to, but getting ready to. There's a lot to that. Every vegetable has its own little way of being preserved. And depend on what you're doing or what you're growing and what you like to eat is how you're going to preserve it. So first thing, you're going to need jars. And another thing that's kind of went up on us, they're $14 a dozen, where last year they were 10. But that's a reusable item.
Right.
The little rings that you put it on, the seals, all those have gone up a little bit, not horrendously, but some. So you might want to store up a couple years worth of them if you find a good deal.
And we've talked about how they've even, you have to make up, just like when you get the hamburgers, they're a little bit smaller than they used to be. And they're trying to maintain that price. Well, you said, a number of years ago, they started kind of cutting corners on the seals and all that kind of stuff.
Shrinkflation is
Right.
definitely a thing.
Yeah.
A loaf of bread is no longer a loaf of bread. It looks like a half loaf of bread.
Right.
Price stayed the same, and everybody goes, well, the price didn't go up too much. Yeah, but you lost 30% of the product. So
Right.
And we're not stupid. We can see it. But it's a marketing thing, and that's what they have to do. It's either that or raise the prices and tick you off. So that's what they do. They shrink the amount that they're giving you.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about jars, rings, and seals. You're going to need a bunch of them. You can kind of run it all backwards according to how big your garden is and how much you want a can. So it'd be my suggestion that you buy as much as you can afford.
Yeah.
Not a panic buy, but yes. Salt. You're going to use a lot of salt for cannings, preserving. You just always have. Salt's pretty cheap at the moment. Might want to get a bunch of salt. Lots of uses for it. Vegetables, meat, dehydrating, that kind of stuff. Spices are going to be a problem just because of the war. Fertilizer costs have driven spices up pretty high. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of spices out of different countries. People don't realize that, but the spice market in India probably supplies 30 to 40% of the world's spices. Wow. I don't know what it is about India. It's just got that perfect spice weather, and they've always done it. And them people like spices.
Oh, yeah.
My sister was actually in India and went to the spice market in, I don't think it was Sri Lanka, but at any rate, the giant spice market. Now, she said it was like, old world kind of stuff. You expected camels to go through.
Right.
And then a camel went through.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lord.
But they'll have 1,000-pound totes of cloves. Now, you can imagine the smell that would produce of fresh cloves.
Sure.
And it's everywhere, of every kind of spice. So she said the air was just perfumed in spices.
Yeah.
She said it was remarkable. But there was people from all over the world buying there.
Isn't that something?
And they were running around in those little tuk-tuks. You know what a tuk-tuk is? That three-wheel little car.
Oh, yeah.
That's their version of a taxi.
Right.
Well, it may have, a whole bag of spices on it. I'm saying the big bulk bags.
Right.
And it's barely keeping the front wheel on the ground. And down the road to go. And it was just unbelievable. And they would take it down to the docks, and some buyer would be waiting to get 30 of these bags. And,
wow.
You think, how could this be that the world's buying their spices from a guy off a tuk-tuk? But that is exactly how it's done. But anyway. Spices. Grab them while you can, folks. Mm-hmm. Vinegar is another one of those items that is used in canning. That's gone up quite a bit. The apple crop that they make a lot of the vinegar out of. They make a lot of rice vinegars too, but that's getting more expensive. And this year's apple crop is in pitiful condition. We lost so much fruit to the late frost.
Okay.
If you've gone to any of the orchards here lately just to check it out, they probably lost 80% of their blooms. Now, what they are going to end up with is some very big apples, because the tree lost so many blooms, and there's only a couple apples on each tree. The apples that have made it are going to get all that nutrition out of the root system. So the apples tend to be huge because there's not many there to feed. So the tree said, okay, I've got all this, I'll put it into what apples I do have, and they're huge. But they're going to be expensive. So be prepared for that if you're going to plan on doing it. And there were some areas that made it through those late frosts and did better than some areas. Up there at the Peaks Otter, that area, there's a couple orchards up there. They got hit pretty hard. They got hit with 3 major frosts. The last one lasted 3 days, extremely cold, and lost a lot of fruit. Some of it had already bloomed and set fruit, so it absolutely killed that. So we're in a fruit shortage this year, including my little trees, and just irks my wife. She works so hard to take care of these things.
Sure.
And I prune them twice a year, and then to get nothing out of it kind of makes you just want to take a chainsaw to it, but you can't. You have to take what you get and go on.
Yeah.
Not everything is easy. All right, sugar. That's another one that's going up in price a little bit. Not as bad as I thought it was going to, but that's a good thing. But you do use a lot of sugar for preserving things, especially the fruit industry. Lots of water, which is really bad because we're in a severe drought. Let me say something about water. Know it or not, our water table is dropping. I'm sure you've seen all over the internet or social media, rivers are drying up. It's that bad. Rivers are drying up, and it's not just one or two. There's a lot. Lakes. Was it Lake Norman in North Carolina? It's down pretty severe. A lot of these lakes that have hydro on them are down just because we didn't get the snowpack that we typically could get, the rains. And all that water is where your electricity comes from. And if it's going to be hot and dry, like they say it's going to be, the electric company runs more of the turbines to make up that load.
Right.
So the water level drops when that happens.
Can we talk about this for just a second?
Sure.
When it comes to turbines and it comes to, I know in the state of Florida, Georgia has been sending Florida water for I think decades now.
Right.
At some point, because Florida has exploded. I didn't think Florida could grow anymore, but it's drawn industry because of the tax situation in places like California and Chicago, Illinois. They're moving their businesses, their headquarters, and with that comes a lot of families, and it just has,
when business grows, so does the housing.
the housing, and then the infrastructure. That's a big sand pit down there.
Yes,
it is. And to drill to get a well 80 feet, boom, you're smoking in many cases.
Yep.
So that means that water table's not that far down. But I'm just throwing this out there, in that at some point states are going to say, hey, Florida, Georgia speaking here, I just can't afford to send you as much as I used to.
Right.
And
we pulled too much water out of the ground.
It becomes a real problem, like you said, because these rivers and such are drying up. I mean, you see that one out, I think it's in Denver. I mean, it's scary to look at the ground, how the the bottom, which was once the bottom of the river, it's all cracked and there's just no water.
Mississippi's drying up.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Mississippi.
Yeah, which is a problem because a lot of commerce runs through the Mississippi.
Yes,
a lot of people don't
is.
realize.
That's
Get that navigating app for your thing to see how many boats and ships are running in these here United States. You'd be surprised. They're everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are just stuck because the water level just drops so quick.
Yeah.
Geologically, our whole planet is going through something.
Yeah.
You just see all these earthquakes, blah, blah,
I think
blah,
the
blah.
Bible calls it birthing pains.
Yeah,
or something.
If you want to know what's going on, there's a good source. It's a little black book. Been around for a while.
It is.
But at any rate, you're going to have to deal with that. I think Arizona's running out of water right now. Texas, of course, Texas has always been typically scrambling for water. Well, it's way worse now.
Yeah.
Now it's the whole Midwest. That's our grain belt. That's in trouble. So we're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to figure out that you can't suck the water out of the ground. If you read these farm reports and farm journals, they pulled too much water out of the ground. They've depleted the aquifer, the underground puddle that's underneath there that they've been pulling out of for 50 years is now dry. And the water's not being replaced. Now, they've been warning about this for 20 years, and prophets took over common sense, and now it's done.
My cousin said 15 years ago, he moved to North Carolina. I don't remember what state he was in before that. I think he was in part-time because he'd worked with FEMA for a number of years. So he's traveling all over the place. But he said to me 15 years ago, Mark, water, you better be near a water source that is plentiful because water's going to be a problem. And this is a guy that would go to disaster. He got to see a lot of the country.
Right.
And he got to see where water, could destroy as well doing that job. But, it's people just don't, they think they just go to the tap and open it up. And it's just always going to be there.
Well, there's huge farms out in the Midwest that you buy the water out of the aquifer, and it is pumped into you. And a lot of these farmers are just absolutely tied to the water because it's dry out there. Utah is one of the drier ones.
Okay.
So one of the farm journals were reporting that they're pretty much done out there.
Oh, really?
Those farms are done because the aquifer can't send any more water because it's empty. And everybody's looking at each other like, what are we going to do? There ain't nothing to do.
Right.
You can't ship water in. It's just a troublesome thing out there that will change their whole economy.
Right.
Which also changes our economy.
Right.
So there you are, and we promote buy local. It's hard to buy grains local. And if you could, what do you do with it? Whole grain wheat, what do you do with it? Everybody hears whole grain wheat and they think that's a kind of bread. And it is, but it started out as a whole grain.
Right.
If you can't get the bread just because of the shortages, you may have to find somebody that's growing a wheat crop and grind your own flour. Holy cow.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Flour's going up. All the grains are going up. I bought some grains a couple years ago. We set up a little grinding mill just to make sure we can do it. And it can. So it can be done. There's so much that we need to do that people are just not prepared to do. And, they're working their butts off on everything to try to prepare. And then you go, what do you mean I got to grind my own wheat to make my own flour to make my own bread? You might have to. If the power goes out, you might have to do it by hand. Uh-oh. So there's alternatives to this stuff. There's rye. There's all kinds of grains, the cereal grains. And you may quit eating as much white bread as you used to, and you may be going back to good old Southern cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
That's my choice.
Okay.
I can grow that grain. I can grind that grain fairly easily.
Right.
So that there is options. You can't be blinded and think everything's going to stay the same, because it is not. The only thing that stays the same is everything changes.
Right.
So keeping that in mind, what's the alternative? What's a plan B? That's how you should be thinking. What are your priorities, and what's plan A, plan B, plan C? Mm-hmm. And plan B for us is, okay, I'm going to find a variety of corn that I can turn into cornmeal. Mm-hmm. I've done that. Right. And it makes darn good cornbread. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I'm good with that. I don't have to have store-bought white bread. Mm-hmm. I can live with cornbread. So that's just one thing. But water, folks, is getting real serious here. We're talking about an El Nino this year. If you haven't heard that, you must be living under a rock, because El Nino is heating up on the West Coast, Pacific. It's much warmer than it's ever been. Mm. Now, does that mean we're going to have terrible drought all across the United States? No. Some of it's going to be drought just because of the heat. Mm-hmm. But that also means somewhere is going to get a bunch of real nasty weather because of that heat. And it may dump 5 inches of rain in Carolina or on the East Coast. And El Nino, we see just the Pacific. They show how it blooms, that heat strip. Oh, mm-hmm. El Nino. Okay, well, that's not just this side of the world. It affects every side of the world. It changes a lot of oceanic patterns. Mm-hmm. So one country may experience terrible drought, and the other country may experience terrible flooding. But it definitely does happen all around the world. When one of these El Ninos blooms somewhere, it messes up the other side of the world. Mm-hmm. It's like stirring the pot. Right. It's going to affect the other side. So we're not sure where that's going to happen, because nobody knows, except for in that book.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so move on to your staples. What should you do if these grain crops are failing everywhere? There are reserve storage right now of bulk crops that you could get. Some of these Amish and Mennonite stores, and there's one that's called Azure. You ever heard of them?
Where's that one located?
Actually, it's online.
Oh.
And what they do is you bulk order your stuff, and they come to Lynchburg.
Okay.
And they set up a drop time, and it's usually in some parking lot somewhere of a large store, and they start setting stuff out on the ground alphabetically, so you better be there, and they don't care if it's raining or not. They got a schedule to keep.
Sure.
So be prepared for that. But you can buy 50 pounds at a time of about anything. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's as cheap as anywhere you could find, but it is definitely cheaper.
Mm-hmm. How do you spell that, by the way?
Azure. Okay. Azure.
U-R-E. Okay.
And they have a heck of a line of products, food products mostly. So go online, see what they got, make sure it's in stock.
Okay. It said Azure Standard of Healthy and Abundant Living.
Yep.
And that is AzureStandard.com.
Yep.
Is the website. Okay.
There are these Amish and Mennonite stores, and if you haven't seen one, you probably ought to get out more. Mm-hmm. they're scattered pretty far apart, but if you don't know where one's at, ask around. You can find them. Maybe I'll get you a list together.
Yeah,
and
and
put it out there
on their website too is pretty good because I type in our zip code here in Lynchburg, and it will give me the drop points and locally.
Right.
There's one near Timberlake Road. They have one over near Rivermont. Boonesboro area, Appomattox, Amherst. So that they've done a great job on their website. There's dots all over the country, and then you zoom in on your area.
Right.
That's very convenient.
That's like a big box store comes to you,
right?
And in bulk form, which is a good thing. Staples. Rice is a real good item to have. We talked about beans and rice. We talk about beans and ammo. But rice is the reason rice is a good staple to have because it's a real high energy. Your body can use it as a sugar and to give you energy. So there's not a huge amount of nutrients in it, with the exception of a lot of available starch, which turns into sugar. Your body's good at that.
Right.
So that's a good item to have just to keep you motivated, keep you energized.
Yeah.
That you can function to do a lot of work if there was some catastrophe like government. What a catastrophe.
True.
But like I said, it's kind of low in protein. There's almost zero proteins there. So you got to have a source for proteins. Well, one could be meat. Well, we just talked about there's a problem with meat. A, it's too darn expensive. B, there's going to be a shortage of it. So how are you going to replace that protein source? Well, beans are the answer there.
Right.
Different varieties of beans. There's a back to the Bible, Ezekiel's mix.
Yes.
That they actually made bread out of. And if they put these varieties of beans together, it forms a complete protein, just like a meat. Your body can put all those components together and make a complete protein, keeps your body healthy, rebuilds muscles, all that kind of stuff. So beans are a good source of that protein. Navy beans are one of my favorite because they're versatile.
Okay.
My wife made bread out of navy beans.
Really?
You wouldn't think that, would you? Grind it just like flour, sift it out, get a nice fine flour out of it, and she made bread out of it. How about that, folks?
I'd like to try some of that.
Here's a better one. She made pie out of it.
Wow.
Bean pie. Now, she ground that stuff up into like a flour, a little more coarse than you would for bread.
Right.
But she made it kind of like a pumpkin pie.
Oh, really? Okay. That makes sense, yeah.
And it was outstanding. And I'm thinking, out of a navy bean, who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Well, she researched it, and there's a lot you can do with that bean. So there you are. All right. Beans are pretty cheap at the moment. Some of the lentils are getting a little more expensive. I'm not sure why. I guess supply and demand. Talked about rice. Talked about wheat. You can eat wheat in a lot of different ways. I mean, we think of wheat as strictly for breads, but it's not. You can cook wheat for breakfast. Whole berries. That's funny that they call it a berry and not a seed, but the wheat berries are just a whole grain that the little bran on the outside has been cleaned off, and you can cook that or grind that and make a breakfast out of it, which is a good source of starch for you to get you going in the morning. Because crab hits the fan, you're going to need a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to burn a lot of energy because you're going to be working your butt off.
Right. You're going to be doing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you can go into the whole list of things that are going to happen if the power goes out. And we think of the power going out as 3 days a
Right.
week. That may be a little different, folks. If if we happen to lose power just in storms, and the amount of energy that's going to be in these storms because of this El Nino, heat is an energy, and that transfers into the air and becomes lightning bolts. It becomes these major storms. We're starting to see them worldwide that are just unbelievable. Category 5 and above. I mean, how do you get above Category 5? Because it just rips all the instruments right out of the ground, and you go, must have been a 5 or more. Well, that's what happens when this kind of energy gets into the atmosphere. So you could lose power for quite a while. The shortages of everything, the shortage of labor itself, the power company is not immune to that. So we could see 1, 2, 3 weeks without power, depending on how bad the storm hits, and that could be anywhere. So being prepared for that, you're going to need a good source of food that's available to you, because your refrigerator is not going to be one of them. You can't open the refrigerator if there's no power and think everything inside is going to be okay to eat. It's not. So the canned vegetables, the dried grains and things, they're going to be your lifeline, your staple for a while. And it's not that hard to cook with this stuff if you have the knowledge to do it. And if you don't, seek out those people to buy a book. I don't care what it is. Instead of getting on social media, get on something, Google it, and learn to do it. Make a list, make a running list. I need to learn how to make bread out of navy beans. Or just bread itself, how to make these sourdoughs, all these things. If you don't have those skills, seek somebody out that does, or find it yourself. Meats, I just said, power goes out. What are you going to do with all that meat that's in your freezer? I mean, half a cow in a freezer? Quarter cow.
Yeah.
That was a big investment, and now your power's out. So you ought to have a generator anyway. If you're lucky enough to have a generator and a little bit of fuel stored up because you're smart, that'll buy you time. Now, my plan is, if that happens, I'm going to take the jars I bought early, and I'm going to can every bit of that meat. It's going to break my heart to can a T-bone steak, but I will do it. Rather than lose it, I'll can it.
Can we, not today, but can we talk about what that looks like, the canned meat?
Sure. Yeah, that's that.
I think that'd be a good one.
Just preserving meat, that's a huge thing. Just from a cow standing in the pasture to into a jar.
Because most people don't think of it.
No.
I mean, tuna, we think about tuna and maybe chicken in a can or whatever, but
if they really thought it through, they go, wow, Denny Moore beef stew. You know, had the big chunks of meat in it back when I was a kid. You know, that was just canned meat, folks. You can do that a lot. So you can can sausages and all that kind of stuff. You can can hot dogs if you want to do that. It'd be a waste of a jar, but you can do it.
Get some beanie weenies.
Yeah, but hamburgers, all that kind of stuff you can actually do. So, and it is not as hard as what you think.
Okay.
All right. So you can can the meats. You can preserve the oils from these animals. Like for a cow, it'd be called tallow. The fat's off, the clean fat is called tallow. And a pig, it'd be lard. And those are all your cooking oils.
Okay.
Military has meals ready to eat, MREs. Now, there's no oils in them. That's why they only feed them guys 3 days at a time at the most of these MREs. Okay. Because there's no oils in them, which will tend to lock your stomach up.
Yikes.
So you don't want to eat that kind of stuff day in, day out without the oils. So the oils are extremely important. Your brain is a lot of fats and oils. That's how your brain operates. So if you start losing that, that's a problem with cognitive function.
Interesting.
Most people don't know that. But if you're lacking all these oils, that will affect your brain, and you will have brain fog from it.
And you don't need brain fog.
It's like
if
being
the bomb falls out.
dehydrated. Yeah, it's like being dehydrated. You need that water so your body can function. You need that salt in there so the electricity in your body keeps working. But you need those oils to keep all the parts moving, just like the oil in your car. All the parts moving.
Right.
We talked about canning, curing, and salted meats. That is a definite skill. If you've ever seen anybody butcher pigs and stuff, and you see the ham there, you go, wow, that's a ham. No, not yet. It's just fresh pork at the moment. It has to be cured, and you use curing salts and potassium nitrates if you want to go that route, but the old people didn't have that. They had just plain old salt, and what they've done is sucked all the moisture out of it down to a percentage at which microbes can't live. So that's the idea. You remove so much water that there's not enough water for the microbes to survive, and that's what keeps it from rotting. So that's a big subject, and if you had to, you could probably muddle through it, and you'll have probably an 80% success rate if it's your first time around because you read the book or researched it before you dove into it. So it may sound scary, but it's not as bad as what you think if you're educated yourself to it. Jerky, I mean, everybody's known about dried jerky meats. Same principle, same exact principle. It's all cut up in a small piece, dried. I mean, Indians have been doing it for 20,000 years. I think you could probably do jerky. Pemmican, that's not my favorite. You ever know what pemmican is? Okay, they start out with dried jerky, really dry, and it's ground into almost a powder. And then they add oils or some type of fat back to it and put nuts in it and all kinds of stuff and pack it into this granola bar looking shape, and then you just gnaw on it when you need it. That would be way down. Now, as far as a travel item, if you were on the trail,
right,
hikers use it a lot. You know, they'll buy the pemmicans just so you can have that meat source, the oil source, and the energy from the nuts and fruits and things that they put in it. But that's what pemmican is. Now, there is no specific recipe for that. You can adjust it, but you'll get the idea of how it's done. Fermenting, pickled herring, for fish, and you can pickle red meats also. That's a very specific storage methods and that kind of thing. So you really need to know what you're doing when you're doing fermenting meats. You can pick it up and read it and try it on a very small scale, so you don't screw up hundreds of dollars worth of meats. Yeah. But you can do it and give it a try and say, okay, that's doable. I was trying to think of the red meats that they ferment. Brisket is one of them.
Brisket, okay.
Yeah, they fermented briskets, and a lot of the old people did it in crocks and things like that. But not many people own a crock anymore of that size. But a bucket will do. Okay. A food grade bucket, HDPE, high density polyethylene. That's what you look.
Yeah, we've talked about
if
that
you're
before.
not sure what kind of bucket you got, turn it up and look for it. It'll say HDPE. That is a food grade bucket, just like Tupperware. Tupperware is this HDPE plastic.
Okay.
Plastics. Everybody's worried about PFOBs and things coming out of these water bottles.
Yes.
That's because it's not HDPE plastic. That's why it does that. It's a cheap plastic that they're trying to kill us with. That used to be funny. Now it's not. I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. Who was it just said not too long ago? We need new conspiracies.
Yeah.
All the other ones have been proved true. Oh, that was John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably something we could maybe address at some point, how the leaching of the chemicals through the water and all that, and how you should probably use a tin or a metal drinking apparatus. I'm looking at my plastic cup as I say this, but that's...
Well, we used them for 10 years
I know.
and you didn't know, and
Right.
now everybody knows. You're going, dang, that's a hard habit to break.
And it's not a conspiracy, like you say. Well, why don't we do this, Glenn? Why don't we end on a good conspiracy?
Yeah. Won't be hard to pick it right back up.
What if people have questions about some of the things we've talked about it, and we're going to talk about in a future show about how to do canned meat and cure meat, and we've talked about ham before and how that is cured and how you use the different products to do that. But if they have a question about that or anything else, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Boblets, right on Facebook. You shoot me a message. I usually get back to you pretty quick.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
All right.
Have a good show on canning meats. That's more of a fall thing, but not if it's an emergency. It's not.
Yeah, sure. All right, sir. Well, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblets, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.